Hey guys, Dawn here. Hope you're having a great day. I was trying to decide what kind of a card to make when my daughter said I should start making Mother's Day cards, and I thought it was a great idea. So I'm going to be making some Mother's Day cards for the rest of this month. Today I'll be using the Whimsy Stamps Mom's Layered Flowered Stamp Set, along with the Wild Weeds die set, which is one of my favorite dies. So let's get started. I cut a piece of white cardstock to 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4.25 for my base. Then I have a piece of black cardstock I cut to 3.75 by 5.5 inches. I stamped my flowers with Copic Friendly black ink, and then I cut them out with my brother's Scan and Cut already. I also stamped and cut the word Mom with my brother's Scan and Cut also, and it cut out really nice. If you didn't want to die cut the word Mom out, you can always stamp it onto the paper as well. Next, I die cut 2 of the Wild Weeds die from some white cardstock. Then I'm just going to take some random word dies and I'm going to die cut them from my black cardstock. Since no one will see the black cardstock, I used it to cut words out. This helps to save me paper rather than use the full sheet of black paper just to hide it behind the other paper on your card. You might as well use it for word dies. This is what my paper looks like after I die cut 3 of the words from it. I only die cut the words from the middle of the cardstock and I didn't go near the edge of the paper. As you can see, it fits nice behind this white paper and no one can tell the difference. Here I'm just adhering the 2 wild weeds together. These are beautiful dies, but when you cut them out, they can be a little fragile. So I like to double mine up to add some strength to it, and then I'm just going to set it aside for later. I decided to do a little bit of watercoloring just to give the background a little bit of interest. I'm using my Tim Holtz watercolor paper and I'm using my Gansai Tambi Pearl watercolors. I just love this set. These are beautiful pastel colors and they leave a nice pearl shine on your paper. I couldn't decide if I wanted to have a light blue background or a yellow background, so I decided to make both since they're both very quick and easy to make. The first thing I did was spray my papers with water, and then I'm going to spray my yellow and blue paint. I'm adding a lot of water because I'm looking for a very soft background. I'm not looking for a dark color at all. And then I'm just going to take my paint and I just very lightly tap it all over my paper. I'm just dabbing it here and there. I'm not making any kind of brush strokes or anything. I'm making more circular motions, and you could put as much water or as little as you want. I add more water to the other paper and then I add the blue paint. The more water you add, the lighter the paint is going to be and the more it will move around the paper. When I have the desired look that I want, I take a tissue and I wipe a little bit of the paint off all around the edge just to make it a little bit lighter. Now, because I didn't tape my paper down, the paper kind of bubbled up a little bit, but no worries. If you heat set the paper and dry it really well, it will make the paper flat again. As you can see, it looks perfectly flat and it's back to the way that it was. I trimmed both the papers down to 3.5 by 5.5, and once I color my flowers in, I'll decide which one I want to use then. But for now, I'll just set them aside. Now I'm going to whip out my Caran d'Ache Luminance colored pencils. I haven't used them in a while and I just love them. Sometimes I take a break from my Copic markers and these do the job wonderfully. This is a 76 piece set. I believe they make a smaller size as well as a 100 piece set. I felt like the 76 piece was a good size to get. And I'm just going to pick my colors out. I'm going to use a yellow for the center of the flower, a green for the wild weed I'm going to color in, and then I decided to go for some like purpley red colors for the flowers. I'm also going to be using my Gamsol today. I just love using this. It makes using colored pencils super easy. Just make sure not to spill it. Someone suggested putting it in a container with a sponge and I just keep forgetting to do it. I'm going to quickly show you how to color with the Gamsol. Once I show you, it isn't really that hard, so I'm not going to show me coloring in all of the flowers. The first thing I do is put green number 220 all over the wild weed stem. Now I don't take great care to color it in because once I rub it with the Gamsol, it will change the entire look of it anyways. So I just put a quick coat all over the weed. Just be careful as you're coloring it that you don't bend the wild weed if you go too fast. Once I'm done coloring, I dip my blending stump in the Gamsol and I just rub it all over the wild weed. I blend it out as I go, and it really is that easy. I'm going to skip to the flowers so you can actually see the transformation of the colored pencil. I'm doing the same thing, just randomly coloring some of the number 350 colored pencil onto the petals of the flower. I'm not doing any type of special coloring, just quickly rubbing the colored pencil onto the petals. It actually looks very scratchy, I guess is the word I'd use to describe it. And then once you put the Gamsol to it, it blends it out really beautiful, and it goes super fast. I find colored pencils for me to be much faster than Copic markers. With markers, I have to keep blending and blending until I get the right shade, where the colored pencils can go from dark to light, all with one colored pencil. It just depends how light or how hard you press down on the pencil that will determine the shade of the color you get. And they work just like Copic markers as well. Once I have my base color, which is the lighter color, I'm going to go over the top of it with a darker color. Now, I put a little more of the darker color because I decided I wanted a darker flower. But if I only did the center of the flower and didn't blend it all the way up the petal, it would have made the two colors a little more drastic of a light and dark shade. But I decided to drag the darker color further up the petal, as you can see. So here I'm coloring the second flower with the lighter color, and I'm blending it out with the Gamsol. Then I just want to show you the difference between the first one I did and the second one that I did. They're very different in color. And then I'm just going to add the darker color again, and I colored the center of the flower with the yellow color. Once all of my flowers were colored, I decided the green was a little bit too bright. So I took number 225 and I colored over the green, and then I blended it together again with the Gamsol, and I liked it much better. So just because you're using colored pencils doesn't mean you can't go back and change the colors at all. It's very easy to go back and add a different color to it. Okay, now I'm going to assemble my card. I adhere a piece of craft foam to the back of the black cardstock to add dimension. I decided to go with the blue background, and I adhere it to the top of the black cardstock. And as you can see, you don't see any of the words that I cut out of the black cardstock at all. Then I adhere the entire watercolor panel to the card base, and I make sure to center it in the middle of the paper. I adhere the wild weed to the card base, and then I put some foam tape on the back of all the flowers, and I adhere them to the front of the card. I put small pieces of foam tape behind the mom sentiment and adhere that to the card. I didn't show it, but I heat embossed the sentiment, "Thank you for everything you do," onto some black cardstock. I put foam tape on the back of it, and then I adhered it under the mom sentiment. And to finish off my card, I'm using my favorite confetti from This Calls for Confetti. I know I say this in every video. Whimsy Stamps carries a huge variety of This Calls for Confetti's collection, so I like to let you know that I'm using the black matte confetti. It's definitely my favorite. I use it all the time. I'm just randomly putting it on the card, and I adhere them with my glue and my jewel picker, and that's it. That's going to complete my card for today. This card was super quick and easy to make, and I think it turned out great. I want to thank you for joining me on the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel. I would love for you to leave a comment and let me know what you think of the card. Be sure to subscribe to the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel and their other social media platforms so you don't miss out on any upcoming releases and great inspirational videos. Also, check out their website for all their new releases. And as always, I want to thank you for stopping by and spending your time with me. Have yourself a wonderful day.